What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Week 9 of the San Diego High School football preview, I guess. Another episode of San Diego Prep Insider brought to you by Palomar Insurance. Let's talk about every football game going on in Week 9 in under 15 minutes. If you don't see them here, that's okay. Just scroll around until you get to the episode that you are looking for. If you're watching this on socials, head over to YouTube for the full thing. All right, Southwest El Centro Vincent Memorial. That is the game that is happening Thursday as of us recording this. It's only a couple hours away, so apologies for getting to this one. Not a bunch of lead time, but I think Southwest El Centro is going to get a second win there. Moving down, Julian and Warner. Julian with a chance to get above 500 on the season. I see them very conceivably taking it. So the rest of these games all Friday. Chula Vista, Sweetwater. Chula Vista and Sweetwater are two schools that are now in that, like, hey, let's every win is already more important because it's league, quote unquote, but every win right now for both of these schools is critical for playoff positioning or making it in general. Eastlake and Otay Ranch. Otay Ranch has had three really good key wins this year, so I would not count them out against Eastlake, even if this was a 6-1 Eastlake. So, but at a 3-4 Eastlake, I think this one is perfectly set up to be a good fight between two schools that are jockeying to maybe get some home field advantage in the playoffs. Montgomery and Olympian. Look at the records. Look at the situation we're in where Eastlake and Otay are sub 500. Montgomery and Olympian are above 500. I get it. Different levels, all that. But general, just like the power has shifted, at least right now in the South Bay. Olympian, they've got the edge, I guess, a little bit, but I'm curious, man. Sometimes a loss can be exactly what kicks a team into overdrive. How good can Olympian be to close out this year? Southwest San Diego and Mar Vista, two schools looking to get back to 500. Two schools where we have seen both like the best and the not best. And I'm not going to ever use the word worst because I'm not knocking these because we've seen what good games look like. We've seen what bad games look like. It's a question of who and what we're going to get and which one of these two schools can pick up a little bit of momentum going into the end of the season / this win. And all these wins from now on are big in league standings. O'Farrell and Foothills Christian. O'Farrell is 3-4 with a chance to go to 4-4. That is historic for that school. Foothills Christian, any and all this is historic because it's their first season of 11 man. So them getting their first win would be huge. Bonita Vista and Hilltop. Hilltop, if they can get to 5 wins and be at or above 500 this year, I like them. Kind of like I was saying with Southwest and Mar Vista, like when you see their best, you really like it. And I like what Hilltop can potentially be doing. San Ysidro and Castle Park. San Ysidro, like another one where if they can get to 5 wins, if they can get some home field vibes throughout the end of this, there's a little more sense of urgency for all these wins to close out the season. Horizon Prep taking on Calvin Christian. Horizon Prep with a chance to get back to 500 there. I like them in this one. West Shores and Francis Parker. Next up, we got Scripps Ranch and Cathedral Catholic. Cathedral Catholic, they are still a very good team. They're still an elite team. They're still one of the best teams at 5-2. Scripps Ranch, though, there is at least a blueprint on how to get it done for them this year. And they've played some very good games. They have a good offense. Should be a fun one. Steel Canyon and Mount Miguel. Mount Miguel with Cathedral, even at 5-3, they've played a really good schedule. They're a really tough team. They're a very good team. Steel Canyon, though, this year is the best that they have been at recently. And I like this game a lot more now than I did 3, 5, 10 weeks ago, and this could be a very interesting one. Obviously, at 7-0, everyone's going to get we're all going to be watching. When will Steel Canyon lose? 9-1 does not mean anything more or less than 10-0. It's just a statistical nicety to watch those undefeated teams and say, hey, can you get this done? So Steel Canyon, they're playing with a little something. If they can beat Mount Miguel, this would be a huge win for them. This would probably be win of the most recent, the biggest win since they won state a few years ago for Steel Canyon. On the Mount Miguel side, a bounce back here keeps them in control in the D1 playoffs, ultimately on their road to, they're going to be good in whatever route they take in the playoffs, but a home game is much easier. St. Joseph Academy and Borrego Springs. Borrego, again, let's look at the undefeated teams. Let's follow them into the late weeks of this year. So Central and Calexico. Central, they are a very good team despite being 6-2. Calexico is also very good team even at 3. This will probably be leaning towards Central, but I still something about Calexico I like as a dangerous playoff team. Morris and Claremont down in 5AA. This is part of they're playing a tough schedule, and they are hopefully learning from it to be dangerous in the playoffs. So they're kind of playing with house money, but Morris, if they can get to 5 wins here, there is a churn, I call it, between D's 2 and 4 of the playoffs, where just sometimes the deciding factors are so small between where schools are going to wind up. So they should certainly be hoping for all the wins they can get. Palo Verde Valley and Calipatria. Calipatria is kind of nice with it again this year. I'm looking for them. I'm watching what they're up to in this game. Rock Academy and Kearney. I will try to attend this one because I just found out that Colton Toll is the line coach / JV OC. Shout out all my JV OCs. But Kearney and Rock Academy, two teams that have had some really high highs and a couple of bad losses. Again, when they play their best football, it's really fun to watch. So a huge potential upside in this game, probably going to be high scoring. Hoover and Mira Mesa, two teams that would absolutely love to get back to 500 and establish just a little bit of momentum to close out this season. I have no way of knowing who's going to win this game, but maybe it's just because it's a home. No idea. Coronado and Canyon Hills. Look at the way that there's a little shift in power down in the South Bay. There's a little shift in power here where this late into the season, Coronado and Canyon Hills are both above 500 and not really like a loss here is a tough one to take in the grand scheme of things, but I don't think derails either of these teams' plans for being playoff contenders. But where I said where there's a little bit more urgency, just a little bit more oomph. So see who responds to the moment there. Point Loma and Madison. Point Loma coming off of beating Cathedral Catholic last week. Yeah, right. To any of you that tries to be like, oh, but there weren't players. That's football, man. Availability is one of the best abilities you can have in this sport. And it's not to detract from Cathedral in any way. It's just it's a randomized sport sometimes. And so right now, Point Loma is 7-0 and absolutely tearing through people. Madison, this will be Madison is looking to be potentially Saints from last year and be the next case study of does a 2-8 Madison fall to D3 and then win D3 because ultimately they are they're a good football team. They're just playing elite talent. I don't know, but just keeping an eye. That's the plot one. For that one, Patrick Henry and Crawford. Crawford, they won the Battle of the Boulevard. We know that they can clutch it up a little bit, and Patrick Henry they're a team that has played a really tough schedule, and so maybe not deserving of their 3-5. Either way, this is a good, I think, a little bit more evenly matched game than people want to give credit for. Del Norte and Poway. Poway and Del Norte both at the sub 500, but both have played incredibly tough schedules. The Poway's offense on the ground is just, I always like it in terms of controls the clock, controls the ball, yada, yada, yada. El Cajon Valley and Valhalla, two teams that, while maybe not caught right in the middle of the churn, will be at the tail end of the churn for who winds up in D4, who winds up in D5. And either one of them picking up a win here will be immensely huge. But a 3-win El Cajon Valley, that's a good story of them getting getting the bounces and doing some right things, and I think that could be something that goes a huge when we look back at it in a couple of years towards helping this program stabilize. Westview and Vista, two teams that are hanging in there, playing tough schedules. Sometimes the win-loss, you just don't look at it and you just enjoy, hey, this is gonna be a fun game between these two. San Pasqual and Valley Center. San Pasqual's quarterback is a madman. Valley Center's quarterback, also a crazy person because they throw for and produce a ton of yards. Valley Center's quarterback, Braylon Mitchell, is now ostensibly the best quarterback in school history, which, as somebody who had their high school career ended by Tyler Bernard and James Johnson of Valley Center repute, it makes me feel not quite as good as I did about taking that L, but I'm a boomer for complaining about any of that. Good luck. This one's going to be fun. I probably 100-plus points put up in that game. Brawley, Holtville. Weird to see Brawley at 2-5. I don't know how to discount that. These two teams historically, there's been a gap size-wise and division-wise, but Holtville and Enrique Armas is absolutely, he is steamrolling people, and this one will be very fun to watch. Santa Fe Christian, La Jolla Country Day, SFC, one of the undefeated teams, so one of the ones that we pay a little bit more attention to, and I think SFC is going to keep on crushing it. They have a very good chance at finishing this season undefeated, but then being the little school test case of how well this playoff system works. Tri-City Christian and Victory Christian Academy. someone here is going to pick up a win that helps really secure some playoff clarity in the smaller school area of the spectrum. Grossmont and West Hills. Grossmont putting together a season where you kind of being like, oh, were they going to do it out the gate? What's the offense going to look like? Now Grossmont's good. And that only loss to La Jolla is not a bad loss. So they are maybe a little bit of the favorite here, even though this one's at West Hills, but worth watching, at least the scoreboard there on that one. Christian and St. Augustine, two teams that have played tough talent, have some growing pains, have some positional stuff that they're still figuring out, but someone's going to get to 3-5 here, and I think will be a little bit more of a, like, oh, that was the momentum we picked up late in the year kind of thing. Maranatha Christian Mountain Empire, look at these two schools late in the season, man. This is fun talking about. For someone who's coming up now in 10 years of doing this, it's fun to talk about some new programs and do some stuff like that. Congratulations to both these schools on great years. San Diego and La Jolla, man, I am a La Jolla Viking, so I got to root for my dogs in this one. But San Diego's a very good team, and I was very impressed. There is a difference between watching a school, obviously, on huddle and on tape, and then seeing them in person and seeing the physicality and execution. And San Diego's got that this year. They built different. La Jolla, I will root for them. I'm happy either way with that one. Coastal Academy, Orange Glen. Coastal Academy, another one of these new schools that I'm like. This is a fun plot line that the last couple of years they have been really building up steam and not had a moment where it's like, okay, they were only just one player or something like that. Next one we got Helix, Granite Hills. Granite Hills at 4-3. They've lost a really good teams. Helix has a really good off. This one could be either a 70-point blowout or really close, and it wouldn't surprise me. All right, I know I said we're gonna do these all in under 15 minutes. Let's see if all right, 2 minutes left or 3 minutes left on the clock. Let's see if I can get these all done here. Monte Vista and Santana, two teams that. There could be the difference between like home in one playoff versus road in the other playoffs if they take that fourth loss. So there's a lot of importance on this one. Rancho Buena Vista and Fallbrook. RBV, let's go above 500. They've got dogs on both sides, but this defense specifically is getting after it in the backfield and could be their like the Brian Urlacher Bears, the dated. I gotta get new references. Mission Hills, Torrey Pines. Man, Mission Hills taking a loss to Carlsbad that throws everything into chaos, yada, yada, yada. Whatever. Like football, like I've said on some of the other games, football, random going to happen. Mission Hills is still elite. And so Torrey Pines, they'd have to get a big game done. They're obviously a very good team too, but it's just, I ignore that one in the L column for Mission Hills. El Camino, LCC. El Camino is joining Madison, I think, in the test case study of if they end up at 1-9 or 2-8, they still can rip off a D3 championship easily with the talent they have on that team. LCC needs to maintain 9-1 to be, I think, for sure in on the conversation for open division. Maybe a 2-loss team can take it, but I wouldn't want to rely on more chaos happening if I was LCC. University City and Lincoln. UC is very good. Lincoln is the best in San Diego, so this one is going to just be credit for UC and strength of schedule. Mount Carmel and Escondido. Mount Carmel and Escondido, two teams that are hungry for a win and looking at trying to do try and get some at least a home game, or if not having to play the whole. They're into the seeding mentality of everything. Oceanside and RB looking to remain perfect, as obviously we've been paying more attention to all those schools. Gage Weddle keeps picking up offers. This team keeps picking up dubs. They are doing very, very well. San Marcos and Carlsbad at 7-0. They beat Mission Hills last week. I don't think that was a fluke. I think they are very good. I think that the San Marcos team is also elite. So this one, it wouldn't surprise me if this is a domino where then Carlsbad falls, or what did I say with Helix? If it was a 70-point blowout or a 7-point game, I wouldn't be surprised with either result. But Carlsbad is very, very big and elite, and they got a good quarterback. They got an elite line, a good quarterback. Their defense is playing lights out. Last week, we might look back on this all as the year that Carlsbad finally got it done, and just be like, yeah, we knew it in week 8. And finally, Bishop's Escondido Charter on Saturday. Bishop's trying to maintain that deep the home game as opposed to a road game with a win here. Escondido Charter looking to play spoil. That's every game in under 15 minutes. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And thank you again to Palomar Insurance.